You say, are we into this? Are we not? Frustration. It is. Did we or did we not go live? Apparently not. Okay. We are here and I'm talking to myself. Okay. Sorry, guys. Oh, you should know the drill by now. Anyway, um, welcome to today's Tea Talk. I'm glad to have you here today. And I've got my co-host here with me. Get him the right side up. This is Lyme, and he's a very important part of this month's show. I'm doing a four-part series. I'll get into that in a minute. But Lyme is my biggest inspiration for this because May is Lyme Awareness Month. So I want to welcome you to part 3 of 4 in the Lyme Cancer Connection series. And in case you missed the first two parts, they're on my YouTube channel as well as in my blog. So I'll give you the links for those later on. But so far, we've covered when Lyme leads to cancer in the first week. Then last week, we went over how chronic Lyme wears down the body's defenses. And so today, we're going to look at how misdiagnosis, medical gaslighting, and the hidden cost of ignored Lyme is affecting us over the long term. Chronic Lyme disease is probably one of the most misunderstood and misdiagnosed conditions in modern medicine. For far too many patients, the journey to a correct diagnosis is riddled with disbelief, dismissal, and outright gaslighting that's driven by political factors that I'm not going to get into here. Now, I know because I was one of them too, and it really opened my eyes. Like many others, I started off with symptoms that doctor waved off as stress, aging, or anxiety. Others were quickly labeled with an autoimmune disorder, such as fibromyalgia, like I was, chronic fatigue syndrome, or some were even diagnosed with psychiatric conditions before they ever even heard the word Lyme. But what happens when Lyme goes undiagnosed or ignored for years? For many, it sets the stage for crippling disease progression, organ dysfunction, and even cancer. And it's a devastating consequence that mainstream medicine refuses to acknowledge. Here's a painfully common scenario. A patient walks into a doctor's office complaining of fatigue, joint pain, brain fog, and strange neurological symptoms that wax and wane. Now, it could be Lyme disease, but if they didn't notice a tick bite or never developed the characteristic bullseye rash, most doctors won't even consider it. And even then, they often dismiss it with a wait and see attitude. Instead, they'll run the standard blood tests, most of which come back normal, and then send the patient home with little more than a recommendation to get more rest or reduce their stress. Lyme patients hear some version of this for months, years, or even decades while waiting for someone to finally connect the dots if that moment ever comes. It's even trickier now that a typical doctor visit covers, two symptoms. You get a 5-10 minute maximum time frame to discuss those. And because Lyme is multisystemic and very complex, that doesn't work at all. So now it's overlooked and even more than it has been before, especially now that family practices are becoming a thing of the past. Some patients are misdiagnosed with autoimmune diseases like lupus or MS, and that leads them into treatments that suppresses the immune system instead of encouraging it, which further worsens the underlying infection. Others are given a vague catch-all diagnosis for some sort of mystery illness with no known cause, kind of sounds like fibromyalgia to me, leaving them trapped in a cycle of suffering with no clear path forward. The medical gaslighting and dismissal isn't just inconvenient, it's downright dangerous. The delay in a correct diagnosis allows Borrelia and co-infections to spread deeper into the body, leading to more severe complications. Worse yet, some patients are told it's all in their heads. A classic case of medical gaslighting where doctors blame anxiety, depression, or anything convenient so that they don't have to investigate any further. I know people who have spent years being told that their exhaustion, numbness, cognitive dysfunction were simply symptoms of stress or anxiety, or they're labeled as hypochondriacs and or drug seekers, maybe even worse. Some were even prescribed antidepressants that made them feel fuzzy and disconnected, only to later learn that the real culprit was a bacterial infection that's been constantly wreaking havoc on their nervous system. By the time a Lyme literate doctor finally did a proper clinical diagnosis and used some accurate testing to support their findings, the damage had already been done, and it leaves them with debilitating symptoms that could have been avoided with early intervention. The scariest part is that the longer Lyme remains untreated, the more the body breaks down under relentless inflammation and immune suppression. Cells that should be actively defending against pathogens and abnormal cell growth, they become exhausted, depleted, and dysregulated, and that creates an environment where cancer can thrive easily. Lyme weakens the body's ability to detect and eliminate abnormal cells, which in turn increases the likelihood of cancer. Persistent infections fuel oxidative stress and DNA damage, which are key precursors to cancer. As mitochondrial dysfunction worsens, the body's cellular energy factories start to break down, making it easier for disease to take hold. One published case study documented patients with chronic Lyme who later developed lymphoma, which is a cancer of the immune system. Other reports suggest increased rates of breast, gastrointestinal, and neurological cancers among long-term Lyme sufferers, and again, I was one of them too. The overlap is undeniable, yet mainstream medicine continues to ignore Lyme disease's role in long-term cancer risk, and that leaves patients vulnerable to an entirely preventable downward spiral. The hidden cost is insane. Okay. The suffering that Lyme patients go through is far beyond physical deterioration. There's the financial burden of endless medical tests while being unable to work, failed treatments and specialist visits that become their new social life without getting any useful answers or solutions. There's the emotional toll of being dismissed, unheard, unvalidated, and even feeling abandoned by the very system that should have been protecting them. When Lyme progresses to cancer, treatment becomes even more complex and grueling, leading to longer recovery times and lower survival rates. One survivor described spending over a decade battling a misdiagnosis, only to later receive a cancer diagnosis that could have been prevented if Lyme had been treated early on. Stories like this are just far too common, and they should never be dismissed as a coincidence. Moving forward, chronic Lyme must be acknowledged as a serious precursor to long-term disease. Doctors need better, non-biased education, patients need validation, and the medical establishment needs to be held far more accountable than they have been. Until that happens, Lyme patients will continue to suffer, trapped in a system that ignores them instead of healing them, and that's why we're having these conversations. Awareness is growing, advocacy is building, and solutions do exist. I just wish it was a one-size-fits-all, but sadly it's not. So next week, in the final episode of this series, we'll be shifting away from all the problems and frustrations of not being diagnosed or misdiagnosed and moving into some basic accountable solutions. I'm going to be discussing nutritional strategies, detox protocols, immune boosting interventions, and holistic healing approaches that are all designed to help Lyme survivors reclaim their health and lower their cancer risk. Am I saying this is a cure? Absolutely not. But you don't have to settle for mainstream medicine's dismissals, unanswered questions, and uncertainty. You can rebuild and start healing yourself by taking back the control that you do have over your health. And if you're ready to start that journey now, I have created a free virtual wellness center where you can access resources and all sorts of things that help to repair cellular health, mitochondrial health, there's detox strategies, and a whole lot more. So just visit DannyCadeWellness.com. I'm going to put that link above, below, sideways, wherever it lands. And you can grab your free membership because the right knowledge is the first step toward being able to take action towards lasting wellness. So I do hope that you join me tomorrow. I'm going to be having a look at the Vitality for Life show that's on tomorrow night. Hormones, emotions, and I forget what the R stands for again. Oh crap, I should know. Sorry. Anyway, I want to get into the details as to why you want to watch the show and why you want to sign up for it if you haven't already. So thanks for being here today with me. I really do enjoy our time together, and I hope the rest of your day goes well. Enjoy your tea, enjoy your day, and we will talk soon. Bye for now.